You know, as per usual, I cannot keep up with the horrors that come out from the ICE Gestapo and what they're up to. So as you all know, Trump decided to super fund the ICE Gestapo and gave them over $100 billion in his big bullshit bill. And basically what they've become is a domestic police force. They're bigger than like the entire budget of the Israeli military and a bunch of militaries around the world. And now they hyper-police this country. And a lot of these people are former or current Proud Boys or from white nationalist groups. You have people from deep red places in America that are signing up to basically go invade blue parts of the country. It's very, very disturbing what's happening. The reason they're all covering their faces is, of course, because they know they're committing crimes and they know what they're doing is not acceptable. And they figure, let me just hide my identity so in the future there can be no accountability and there can be no justice. Nobody can come after me. That's what's happening. That's what it is.
Meanwhile,
seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by the oath of affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the person to be seized. We go to another one. How's our history lesson going? All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens.
Yo, press! Oh, you got it.
Immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law.
Shield wall.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the left-wing maniacs attacking ICE, okay? Because that is something that has now become commonplace in this country. We just finished talking about an attempted assassination of ICE agents that failed. The would-be assassin ended up assassinating illegal immigrants instead. It was friendly fire, okay? And now Democrats are finally starting to get asked questions about their role in all of this violence towards ICE, okay? Because we've been seeing this time and time again, and it's at the point now where we can no longer deny where this is coming from and why this is happening, okay? It is because of rhetoric from the Democrat Party. And clearly, Hakeem Jeffries, aka Discount Obama, aka No Swag Obama, aka Timo Obama, aka Dollar Store Obama, right? Dollar Store Obama, he got very, very upset and angry after being confronted on the language that Democrats continuously use towards ICE that clearly is inciting their base of left-wing lunatics to commit acts of violence against law enforcement. Take a look.
Jeffries, we've seen another attack on an ICE facility over in Dallas, and this time it was fatal. And people, particularly Republicans, are saying that the rhetoric coming from Democrats is to be blamed, specifically because the attacker essentially mimicked a lot of people coming from your side of the aisle, and they're asking your side to dial it down or to at least address it. What is your response?
I issued a statement on this issue, and it was very clear. In fact, it was a Democratic leadership statement. We condemn all instances of violence, whether it's political violence or ideologically motivated violence, whether it comes from either side of the ideological spectrum. The violence in America this year is out of control. And the president needs to bring the country together, not continue to use rhetoric that tears us apart. Bring us together like Ronald Reagan did. Bring us together like George W. Bush did, like Barack Obama, like Bill Clinton, like Democratic and Republican presidents have done. Why is that so complicated for this president to do? Instead, he's at the Ryder Cup.
Quick follow-up. The ICE authorities, particularly the law enforcement, they are getting doxxed specifically getting followed to their homes, those who aren't wearing masks, such as the...
Here's what the Department of Homeland Security did. Here's what the Department of Homeland Security did. Listen, it's my press conference. I'm going to answer the question. Here's what the Department of Homeland Security has done. The Department of Homeland Security put out a hit list directed at Democratic members of Congress, Democratic governors, and Democratic officials. It's a hit list saying to crazies all across the country, target these people. And so, no, we're not going to be lectured by the Department of Homeland Security. Take your hit list down. That's what they need to do. We are very clear. Attacks against anyone of any political persuasion for any reason, and certainly attacks against law enforcement, unacceptable, and attacks against immigrant communities, unacceptable.
Yeah. So I want you guys to understand the argument here from Hakeem Jeffries, right? Who clearly is upset, very angry about the fact that Democrats are rightfully being blamed. They're being asked questions about why is it that we're continuing to see these attacks against ICE? Why are they escalating to the point now when we have attempted assassinations against ICE agents? Because, again, clearly, if you listen to the Democrat Party and their rhetoric, they're causing this, okay? But according to him, no. It's not ICE. It's not conservatives that are the victims of what's happening, right, in this country right now when you talk about political violence. It's the Democrats, right? It's the Democrats because apparently DHS has put out a hit list, right? Even though there are no Democrats that have been attacked, okay? Democrats are currently not subject to these types of radical lunatic protests that are happening every single day in this country against law enforcement, right? They're not subject to that. ICE is subject to that. ICE, they are the real victims here. And for whatever reason, Hakeem Jeffries doesn't want to defend law enforcement, right? He does not want to come out here and to sincerely condemn the violence that is happening because the honest to God truth is that a lot of these people agree with it, right? They agree with it. And that's the only conclusion I can come to at this point because of the fact that these people just refuse to acknowledge the truth. And refusing to acknowledge the truth makes you complicit in what is happening, okay? Because you have these left-wing lunatics running around calling ICE Gestapo. Meanwhile, ICE, they leaped into action and tried to save all the detainees who were being shot at by a left-wing terrorist. Let's watch this video. So the people that they're calling white supremacists, Gestapo, Nazi, right? They're out here trying to save the illegals, right? We're going to deport them, but we don't want them to die, right? We don't want them to die, okay? We don't want them to get shot. So again, the people that they're protesting, doxing, attacking, trying to kill because they're bad people are actually saving the lives of illegal immigrants, right? We have this on camera. Again, that's how deranged these people are, right? That's how deranged they are. Meanwhile, the protests still continue. Like, for example, the protests that are currently happening at the ICE facility in Chicago where the left-wing lunatics are protesting Operation Midway Blitz, which is a crackdown on illegal immigrants in Chicago. Let's watch this. Incredible. Wow. You have this woman, Kate Abu. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Anyways, she's a socialist running for Congress, right? And she posted this video She says, at the Broadview ICE facility, an ICE agent tried to run dozens of protesters over with a SUV as we walked on a public crosswalk. He kept driving for a full football field until ICE barraged us with pepper balls. Again, the most hilarious part about this is that these individuals will try to play victim, right? They try to play victim.
Up with liberation! Down with deportation! Up with liberation! Down with deportation! Up with liberation!
Yeah, so again, you have to be a mentally ill person to believe that ICE, they are the aggressors here, right? ICE tried to run dozens of protesters over. No. Dozens of protesters volunteered to get run over because they tried to block an ICE vehicle, right? That's what really happened. But again, in the eyes of a leftist, right? No, you don't understand. ICE tried to run over protesters. And then you'll have other leftists, like, for example, Kyle Kulinski, who will try to convince us that, no, these are all right-wingers, right? These are right-wingers. Because again, remember, Kyle Kulinski claims that the would-be assassin, the individual that ended up killing illegal immigrants because he was actually targeting ICE agents. No. That guy, you don't understand, he was right-wing, right? It's actually right-wingers that are doing this stuff, according to Blue and On.
Anti-ICE. Doesn't say fuck ICE, doesn't say abolish ICE, doesn't say anything that, like, you know, the phrases that are actually used on the left. Fuck ICE, abolish ICE. No, it says anti-ICE. And it appears to be written in marker, and it appears to be fucking raining where the bullets were found. I got a fucking bridge to sell you if you believe this crap. I got a fucking bridge to sell you. Bro, this is the same shit as immediately trying to blame trans people after the Charlie Kirk shooting. They tried so hard, it's gotta be a trans person, blame the trans people. And then when they couldn't, Antifa. So blame Antifa, something. Somebody on the left, please. And now look at this. A shooting in an ICE facility that specifically targeted immigrants. 3 of them now dead. 3 immigrants dead. And they're going, oh, this was anti-ICE agent shooter. See, it says anti-ICE on the bullets. Oh my God. Bro, you literally can't believe anything that comes out of this regime. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's all biased. It's all political narrative claptrap shit. This is incredible to me. Our institutions are fucking useless now. I mean, literally the plain evidence right in front of our eyes says it all. The immigrants were murdered. So if anything, this is somebody who looks at ICE and goes, you're not enough of a Gestapo. You should be more Nazi-ish. You should be more fascist. You should be mass executing these immigrants. If anything, that's the political message. Now, it's possible that it's just a totally, like, mentally ill person who, you know, whatever, did it. But it's also possible, no, this is highly political. And the political point of view is, oh my goodness, the Trump regime isn't fascist enough. They need to be more fascist. Here, let me help you out by murking the brown people.
I gotta tell you, man, I could never, ever being so confidently wrong, right, as Kyle Kulinski, because this guy, he might be the most confident, consistently wrong individual I've ever seen. But, you know, hey, it must be great to be a left-wing political commentator because you don't have to make sense, right? You don't have to make sense. Right, like, come on. Like, seriously, okay? I mean, we see constant protests and riots against ICE. We see targeted acts of violence against ICE from leftists, right? We see all of this hyperbolic, crazy rhetoric from leftists against ICE, and then a shooting at an ICE facility occurs, and these people automatically say it was right-winger. Again, you don't have to make sense, right, to be a left-wing political commentator, right? It's like bottom-of-the-barrel stuff, okay? I mean, that's the real grift, right? If I really wanted to make a lot of money, okay, I could just become a left-wing political commentator. I would already have 2 million subscribers, right? And, you know, be wrong, and nothing ever happens, right? You know, you never face any punishment for being consistently wrong. People just continue to watch and to listen and say, yeah, that guy, right, I'm going to listen to him, even though he is clearly wrong, right, on so many things, right? But hey, you know, it is what it is. If the left had standards, then they would be leftists. So anyways, like I said, my point is this. Yes, in order to believe that these protesters here are the victims, you would have to be mentally ill, right? These protesters who are doing this clearly are not mentally well, which again is why they're doing it, right? This is why they're doing it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Eric Rung, he's live in Broadview now for an update. Eric.
Well, good afternoon. The number of protesters here is down to about under 25 at both entrances and exits to the Broadview Immigration Processing Center here. Things have been very calm in the last hour. You can see down here, this was filled with people about an hour ago. At the height, there was probably about 200 protesters out here, all with one goal.
Federal agents first fired pepper balls as protesters tried to block ICE officers from making their way to the facility. The tear gas came next.
The actions here today are very disturbing.
This isn't the first protest Roger Lonergan, who served in the military, has been a part of in Broadview.
It's what I've seen in Iraq, Afghanistan, and this is not the type of action our law enforcement agencies, whether local or federal, should be conducting on U.S. soil.
Yeah. They should not be enforcing federal laws on U.S. soil, right? Because that's the only thing they're doing. They're enforcing the law, right? That's what they're doing, okay? And leftists clearly do not believe in law enforcement. They don't believe in enforcing the law, especially when you talk about illegal immigration. When you talk about violent crime, they don't believe in that either. They believe in allowing as many illegals into the country as possible, not having any borders, and then we don't have any way of punishing people who actually commit crimes, right? This is the type of anarchy and chaos that they believe in.
For weeks, demonstrators have been trying to slow down ICE's operations by blocking vehicles from entering and exiting the facility. ICE has responded not only with chemicals, but physically removing protesters and taking some into custody.
They are not handling us well. People are getting hurt, people are getting seriously injured, and if the police are not going to say anything, step in, we think about our risk, but we do plan to be here and do what we can to stop the proceedings happening today.
Well, what do you need the police for? You hate them too, right? You don't like the police either. They're fascists too, right? They're slave catchers, okay? So again, it's just so funny how these people all of a sudden want to call police when they find out after trying to obstruct ICE, right? Now they want to call the police, who again, they don't like. It's funny how that works. But yeah, nobody wants to hear that boohoo, whine, and cry. I don't care what happens to them at this point. They're lucky they're not all arrested. And see, that's what Trump need to do. We need to go ahead and take the gloves off, right? Just take the gloves off and just arrest all these people, right? I don't care. I'm going to be honest with you at this point. I don't care. All of these individuals, okay, every single last one of them that touched this vehicle should have been arrested. Should have been arrested and charged. Every single last one of them, because they're all trying to obstruct. Okay, once you start arresting all of them and you start charging them, right, just for even, putting your hands on a vehicle like this, then they'll learn, right? You'll see a lot of this stuff clean up. It will stop, okay? And when we lock up all the leftists, that's when it will stop. They need to be locked up. We need to throw away the key. These people cannot function in our society because they don't like law and order, right? They don't like law and order.
While the main protests have been on Friday, small groups of demonstrators have been here all week.
Hey, what the man?
On Wednesday, Daniel Schau says he was hit by a truck that then drove into the ICE parking lot without stopping. Schau was taken to the hospital and released the next day. Police say they are treating this as they would any other similar case. Federal agents at the facility told police they had no knowledge of an agent being involved.
There's no accountability. There's like I was telling you, the officers came to me at the hospital and they had asked if I would be able to point the person out in the lineup, and how could I do that when they all wear masks? Like, they have no name tag, they have nothing. There was 3 of them in the vehicle. That's the only thing I could tell the officers.
The Trump administration's Operation Midway Blitz has been ongoing now for about a month. Homeland Security says the mission is to remove the so-called worst of the worst undocumented immigrants. Protesters say ICE hasn't limited themselves to who they are taking into custody. That's why at least the Army vet we talked to this morning sees this as a continuation of serving his country.
This is really what standing up for democracy looks like. It's not always putting on uniforms and going overseas. It's
I hate when these people talk about democracy. You don't believe in democracy. Because if you believed in democracy, then you would respect what the American people voted for, right? The American people voted for this, okay? Trump is still winning on the immigration issue, right? Despite ICE doing all this, right? He's still winning on the immigration issue. Why is that? It's because this is what the American people want. And clearly, leftists don't give a damn about that, right? They can't respect the fact that people voted for this. Trump ran on mass deportations. He ran on doing this. So, again, if you actually respected democracy, right? If you wanted democracy, then you should be okay with this. You should respect the fact that, hey, this is what people voted for, so, hey, this is what they're doing. But again, because they actually don't like democracy, they're actually the real fascists, right? They're everything that they claim that their opponents are, right? Yeah, you're seeing them act the way they are. They're acting fascist, right? This is fascist behavior. They're using political violence. They're targeting ICE because of the fact that they don't like what the American people voted for. They don't like it. So in order to overturn the will of the American people, they're trying to intimidate ICE into not doing their jobs, but it's not working.
Standing up for what makes our country, the core values of the United States.
Now, during the most heated exchanges between the federal agents and protesters, at least 2 demonstrators were taken into custody. But the number of protesters out here has dwindled so much that they actually opened up 25th Street here. They had it shut down for at least 3 or 4 hours here this morning. We're live.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you get tired of getting your ass whooped, right? At some point you get tired of getting pepper sprayed. You get tired of getting beat up, right? You get tired of getting run over. You get tired of getting slammed to the ground, right? At some point your body's like, I can't take this anymore. I can't continue to be out here, right? So yeah, I'm not surprised. And that's what's going to continue to happen, right? That's what's going to continue to happen as long as they continue to do this. Stop obstructing. Respect the rule of law. Respect democracy, right? Respect what people voted for. And you ain't got to worry about all this, right? You ain't got to worry about these abuses from ICE, right? So, again, Democrats refuse to acknowledge the reality that they are encouraging this. You don't see Hakeem Jeffries coming out here and condemning this as he should, right? He's not coming out here and specifically condemning these riots against ICE, right? These violent protests against ICE. That's because ultimately they agree with it, right? They want to intimidate ICE into not doing their jobs. That is the tactic that Democrats are now employing, okay, in order to get their way. Because again, the democracy thing hasn't worked out in their favor. Turns out people don't want what the far left wants, right? People don't want open borders. So because of that, they decided, you know what? Since that doesn't work, we're just going to use violence, right? We're going to use violence, and that is what they've decided. And we can't have that in this country. We just can't do it. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.